In 2009, there were no incidents of rebellion in Pilkhana. It was a planned massacre by the ruling Awami League government and an Indian conspiracy to weaken the Bangladesh army and the country. A clique of Indian and Bangladeshi media misled the public and the Bangladesh army by misrepresenting and concealing information about the incident. In this plot, some hypocritical officers of the Bangladesh army are closely involved and are deceiving us all. To overcome this confusion, the government took everything under its control and made the Bangladesh army a laughingstock. There is no precedent in the world's history for any country's government to join the neighboring country's conspiracy to weaken its own army. None of us could believe that there were officers in our beloved army who could do such dishonesty to their brothers. Even seeing oppression like murder or torture of one's brother or family can work for the oppressor. The discipline and professionalism of the Bangladesh army are of international standards. I have learned this from the Third World, training intensively with the modern armies of Western countries and working in peacekeeping missions. Our well-trained and advanced army was the leading cause of India's headache. The most helpful method of controlling a well-organized army is maintaining its commander. So the Awami League is commanding the army through its chief. The general arts its episodes I wrote are proof of this. You will be surprised to know that today, to become the army chief, Sheikh Hasina's approval was required, and he has to sign an 18-page document with the Indian intelligence agency to prove his loyalty to them. However, I did not have the opportunity to know what conditions were in the paper, so look at who was the army chief for the last 13 years. I have evidence of at least 2 army chiefs running on Indian prescriptions. Anyone can understand this by seeing infected army chiefs traveling to and from India and implementing India-friendly projects. On April 15 and 16, 2001, at Pajur on Sile border, on April 18th at Ramari in Kurigram, and again on April 19th at Pajur border, BDR had armed clashes with Indian BSF. In these 3 battles, the BSF soldiers could not stand up to the then BDR of Bangladesh due to the leadership of the army officers. So like BSF, removing army officers from BDR and appointing police or BCS cadre officers will weaken them. It was India's high agenda. There were 3 investigations into the Pilkhana murders, but none were made public. As the days went by in the inquiry, the government blocked the questioning of the essential people of the Awami League before and after the incident. BDR members involved in various crimes, including murder, who were in touch with the political leadership, and witnesses who spoke foreign languages were strategically killed in the name of interrogation. Then there were numerous inconsistencies, including the tactful propagation of those important BDR member witnesses who had died during torture by army officers at Chigangsa. And this is what some of the traitors of my army did. And we have learned the details of the meeting with Sheikh Salem, Tapas, and Nanak from Home Minister Sahara Khatun before the incident of the alleged rebels at BDR through the prominent newspapers of the country. The Kushil bearers discussed in this incident were preparing the land with long-term PI preparation. On November 19, 2008, the prestigious Harvard International Review published an article titled "Stemming the Rise of Islamic Extremism in Bangladesh" by Sajib Waisjoy and Cole Suvarko. This article was written to attract the attention of international political circles. There it was stated at the beginning of this matter, to increase its importance, that Sheikh Hasina is Wais's advisor. He was the Awami League's chief negotiator on restoring democracy in Bangladesh, with the military. Harvard referred to the interim government there as a military government. We all know that this restoration of democracy talk of victory was conditional on bringing Awami League to power. The inclusion of Carl Savarko, an officer in the United States Army who recently wrote a thesis on Al-Qaeda's media strategy for the US Army Officer Training Center at West Point in this article, indicates CIA and US approval. Sajib Waisjoy writes in the article, Islamic extremism is also on the rise in Bangladesh due to the increase in the number of Islamists in the military and paramilitary forces. He also said that Awami League would do everything possible to preserve long-standing secularism after winning. The army and the paramilitary should be purged so that Islamic terrorism does not rise. The calculation is straightforward. If only the secular Awami League government had been in power for a long time, this Islamic extremism could have been controlled. And the government has no control over Qawmi Madrasa, Bangladesh's hotbed of Islamic terrorism. A few days later, Wal Islam ex-government employee or diplomat said that he had researched and found out that in the last 7 years, 1/3 of the army's students from Qawmi Madrasas have joined the army. Abdul Ghaffar Chowdhury, an intellectual of the Awami generation associated with same contemporary India, said that this problem, secularism, could be solved only if 30% of Hindus were recruited into the army. It was to weaken the military and gain the consent of the international community to keep the Awami League in power for a long time.